What is self-care, or perhaps more importantly, what is it not? Continue watching this video to find out. I'll share some tips you'll want to keep in your mind if you want to create an effective self-care strategy for yourself. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Mike and I'm a Kung Fu and Tai Chi teacher based out of Boulder, Colorado. On this channel, I share inspiration and strategies each week around topics such as personal growth, self-care, and mindfulness to help you live a more masterful life that is both intentional and fulfilling. So if you're new here, please consider subscribing. Today's video is about self-care. What actually is self-care, and perhaps more importantly, what is it not? Unfortunately, much of what we see promoted as self-care nowadays are really just temporary distractions. Many magazine articles and posts on social media seemingly attempt to give us permission to do something that feels good or treat yourself in a well-meaning effort to empower us. But self-care, real self-care, can actually be quite hard. It isn't just about the occasional spa day or new outfit, binging on Netflix, or drinking a glass or two of wine after a hard day or week. Now don't get me wrong, these things can be great, but they're relaxation techniques. While they may force us to slow down, it doesn't necessarily mean they actually promote self-care or self-love. A lot of people have told me that while they feel like they're doing a lot of different things for self-care, they aren't feeling more grounded or centered overall. The moment the activity is over, it's back to business as usual. While they're putting forth the effort to create self-care routines and rituals for themselves, they're wondering why they aren't seeing the results they desire. If this resonates with you, it may be time to take a look at and possibly reevaluate your own self-care strategy. You see, self-care can actually be hard work. It takes intentionality and discipline. It's about taking an honest look and facing the things that are creating the stress and anxiety in your life in the first place. It could be something on the simpler side, like procrastinating and cleaning your house, or doing the laundry, or paying the bills. Or it could be something bigger, like quitting a job or career that you actually hate, or taking a look at your finances to make a plan to get out of debt, or leaving an unhealthy relationship that is no longer serving you. True self-care often takes courage and commitment. It can be about sitting with yourself and processing emotions you've been running from, and acknowledging that self-care can't just be about escapism. It's about learning healthier coping mechanisms and strategies. If you're alive, you will have stress, especially if you're committed to personal development and growing outside your comfort zone. But how we manage our stress is the key. The occasional massage, reading a book, watching a movie, these were all great, even yoga and meditation, but only if they're not simply used as just another distraction. For example, as a mind-body practice teacher of Kung Fu and Tai Chi, I've had my share of students that come to my classes as a way to distract themselves. They feel great and really enjoy class, but that inner peace and joy doesn't necessarily spill out into their daily lives. That's because they're treating the class as merely an activity or experience, almost like taking a pill, rather than as a larger practice focused on long-term wellness over short-term gratification. For them, it's just one more thing to cross off their self-care to-do list until it's time for the next thing. Therefore, superficial, quick-fix self-care techniques won't have life-changing or transformational effects. Real self-care is more a mindset or way of living, a lifestyle. It's about making better choices and living intentionally so that we can evolve into the highest versions of ourselves. Here are a few strategies you may wish to consider when taking a look at your own self-care habits. The first one is say no. Self-care could be saying no to commitments you've made or feel like you've been obligated to make, especially if they no longer feel in alignment with what you truly want. We often overextend ourselves out of fear, obligation, or FOMO, and then wonder how we're going to get everything done, from our work to spending time with family and friends to working out and taking care of ourselves. Learning to say no to things is essentially saying yes to other things. This takes a level of self-awareness to know what you really want. Once you have some clarity on this front, you can determine whether the commitments you've made are in alignment with the vision you have for yourself. For example, if you feel family is the number one priority in your life, but you're always at the office and working every single weeknight and on weekends, it shouldn't really surprise you if your relationships at home suffer. 2. Eat healthier. For me, a large part of my self-care has been learning to eat healthier. While I feel like I still have tons of room for improvement in this area, it's clear to me that when I eat crappy or processed foods too much, my energy and mood suffers. Short-term pleasures like greasy fried foods or sugary desserts sabotage my long-term goal of intentional, healthier living. This doesn't mean I never eat foods that are bad for me, but it's just becoming more aware of how foods I eat may make me feel later in the day or the next day, and how that might impact my productivity and relationships. 3. Invite discipline. I used to hate the word discipline. For a freedom-loving spirit such as myself, it would at times in my life evoke strong feelings of boredom and restraint. Wasn't the meaning of life just to have fun and feel good as much as possible? But waking up exhausted after staying up late watching TV or going out drinking with friends made me realize that these types of habits and lifestyle choices weren't necessarily serving my long-term health and well-being. Even though I enjoyed myself in the moment, it was clear being tired the next day affected my overall motivation and productivity. Having the discipline to get good quality sleep each night, which might have meant saying no to certain fun experiences, allowed me to ultimately feel better and get more out of life. In the end, being able to exercise self-discipline helps us to stay consistent in working towards our goals, to close the gap between where we are and where we would like to be, in whatever aspects of life we're trying to grow and succeed in. 4. Delay gratification. In our world of instant gratification, it's likely that if you want something, you can get it. Feel like eating ice cream? For most of us, gone are the days you have to make it yourself. You can just go to the store and buy some. In fact, nowadays, you can probably even place an order on your smartphone and have it delivered to your door within the hour. Feeling bored or anxious? You can make yourself feel better immediately by drinking some alcohol or indulging in a sugary treat. Many of us are attracted to one or both of these because we know they are guaranteed ways to shift our internal states, at least for the short term. It's comforting to know that there's something we can reliably depend on to quickly escape feelings of boredom or anxiety. But typically, the perceived benefits of these instant gratification techniques are short-lived. Instead of actually enjoying these activities for what they are, we often use them to distract ourselves from having to face uncomfortable thoughts and emotions. And it's important to recognize that these activities are not limited to the common distractions we often hear about, like food, alcohol, or sex. They can be just about anything, even things we commonly associate with being good for us. The distinction of whether an activity is truly self-care or not is whether it's in alignment with what you ultimately want for yourself in your life. And knowing that takes self-awareness. Nobody but you can truly know the answer to that. It's easy to feel pressured by others in society, especially through consumeristic self-care marketing, into thinking what this should look like for you. But only you can know if something is serving you in the long run, or if you're merely distracting yourself from something. So self-care is often about making hard decisions. It forces us to pay attention to who we are and what we want out of life, and the habits we've created for ourselves. It's sometimes about putting aside short-term pleasure and the desire to please others. We must ask ourselves if our self-care choices are actually improving our health, our relationships, our work. Is it making our lives better? Because if we're just distracting or spoiling ourselves, we'll never feel truly refreshed and restored. It'll just be back to business as usual the next day. And to be clear, I'm not saying we should never spoil ourselves. I'm just saying it can't be the only part of our greater self-care strategy. An example I often like to share is around traveling. I love traveling and visiting different places and learning about different people and cultures. In the past, I would so look forward to going on vacations. I would dream about what life would be like if I just stayed there, and be sad whenever my vacation was about to come to an end and it was soon time to return home. It was only until later did I realize I was sad because I didn't truly enjoy my life back home. It took developing greater self-awareness and then making conscious changes in my life, work, and relationships for me to create a life I didn't feel like I regularly needed to escape from. So while I still love traveling to this day, I now look forward to returning home. I'm a big believer that home is wherever the heart is. Hey, thanks for watching this video. Question of the day: what are some self-care habits habits that have worked for you. Share them in the comments below. And feel free to check out my previous video on some daily habits I've incorporated into a morning routine to help me stay focused and grounded. It's a big part of my own self-care ritual. Maybe it can give you some ideas if you're looking to create your own after watching this video. Lastly, please like this video if you found it helpful and share it with someone if you think it might help them. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and turn notifications on if you would like to receive inspiration and strategies just like this each week. Have a great day and we'll talk more soon.